Us people, from the prime source of everything existing. Such a compromise, I think, is possible if certain people consciously set themselves as the chief aim of their existence to acquire in their presences all the corresponding data to become masters among those around them similar to themselves. Proceeding from this and acting according to the wise saying of ancient times, affirming that in order to be in reality a just and good altruist, it is inevitably required, first of all, to be an out-and-out egoist, and also profiting by the good sense given us by great nature. Each one of us must set for his chief aim to become, in the process of our collective life, a master. But not a master in that sense and meaning which this word conveys to contemporary people, namely one who has many slaves and much money, handed down in most cases by inheritance, but in the sense that a given man, thanks to his, in the objective sense, devout acts toward those around him, that is to say, acts manifested by him according to the dictates of his pure reason alone, without the participation of those impulses which in him, as in all people, are engendered from the mentioned consequences of the properties of the maleficent organ Kundabuffer, acquires in himself that something which of itself constrains all those about him to bow before him and with reverence carry out his orders. I now consider this first series of my writings ended, and ended in just such a form that satisfies even myself. In any case, I give my word that from tomorrow I shall not waste even 5 minutes of my time on this first series. And now, before beginning work on the second series of my writings, in order to put them, from my point of view, in a generally accessible form, I intend to rest for a whole month, to write positively nothing, and for a stimulus to my organism, fatigued to the extreme limit, slowly to drink the still remaining 15 bottles of most super heavenly nectar, called at the present time on earth Old Calvados. This Old Calvados, by the way, 27 bottles of it, I was thought worthy to find accidentally covered over with a mixture of lime, sand, and finely chopped straw several years ago when I was digging a pit for preserving carrots for the winter in one of the cellars of my now chief dwelling place. These bottles of this divine liquid were buried in all probability by monks who lived nearby, far from worldly temptations, for the salvation of their souls. It now seems to me, for some reason or other, that they buried these bottles there not without some ulterior motive, and that, thanks to their what is called intuitive perspicacity, the data for which particularity of theirs one must assume was formed in them thanks to their pious lives, they foresaw that the buried divine liquid would fall into hands worthy of understanding the meaning of such things. And now, indeed, this liquid stimulates the owner of these hands praiseworthily to sustain and assist the better transmission to the next generation of the meaning of the ideals on which the cooperation of these monks was founded. I wish, during this rest of mine, which from any point of view I fully deserve, to drink this splendid liquid, which alone during recent years has given me the possibility of tolerating without suffering the beasts similar to myself around me, and to listen to new anecdotes and sometimes, for lack of new ones, old ones, of course, if there happen to be competent raconteurs. It is now still midday, and as I have given my word that I would not, beginning only from tomorrow, write anything further for this first series, I still have time and shall not be breaking my word if I add, with a clean conscience, that a year or two ago I had categorically decided to make only the first series of my published writings generally accessible, and as regards the second and third series, to make them not generally accessible, but to organize their distribution in order, among other things, to actualize through them one of the fundamental tasks I have set myself under Essence Oath. A task which consists in this: ultimately also to prove, without fail, theoretically as well as practically, to all my contemporaries, the absurdity of all their inherent ideas concerning the superstitious existence of a certain other world, with its famous and so beautiful paradise, and its so repugnant a hell, and at the same time to prove theoretically and afterwards without fail to show practically, so that even every complete victim of contemporary education should understand without shuddering and know that hell and paradise do indeed exist, but only not there, in that world, but here, beside us on earth. After the books of the first series have all been published, I intend for the spreading of the contents of the second series to organize in various large centers simultaneous public readings accessible to all. And as regards the real, indubitably comprehensible, genuine objective truths which will be brought to light by me in the third series, I intend to make them accessible exclusively only to those from among the hearers of the second series of my writings, who will be selected from specially prepared people according to my considered instructions.
Amen. Again, amen. Again, amen.